Yo, what's good? It's Mistora. The train just keeps on rolling for Dragon Age of Veilguard. I'm telling you, we keep getting new updates and reveals and such. And today, a brand new, reveal just dropped for the high-level combat that we can expect to see in the game. I believe it's for a warrior. I haven't watched this reveal just yet, but I've seen murmurings about it online. I believe people have been saying it's about a warrior. So for this video in particular, I did want to go through and give y'all, my initial first reaction of it. You will see my first reaction to it, but this is more so going to be, an initial impressions video. So I won't be going through the whole thing in one go, just kind of commenting as it goes. I will instead, in this, my first time ever seeing it, just kind of pause at certain points to give maybe a few detailed thoughts and some things and just kind of go along with it like that. But this in general is still my first time seeing this. I kind of figured that would be more entertaining considering I just made such a long format video a few days ago about this game, and I did just make a reaction, so I wanted to change things up a little bit this time. But I know myself, like many others, after that first 20-minute gameplay reveal, it was good. There was a lot to it I liked, but we wanted to see combat more in line with what we would be playing throughout the entire game. And throughout that whole 20-minute segment, we had like one ability for our character to use. So I'm excited to see what this is like. I'm a little bit bummed out we're not getting more mage gameplay. We got like a 20-30 minute clip of some mage gameplay. This one's for the warrior, but hey, maybe they're just saving the best for last, right? But without further ado, I've babbled on enough for like a minute and some change now. Let's get straight into this. So, all right, let's see what we're working with. For your convenience, we've edited this 4-part series, into a standalone video. Okay, thank you for saving us that trouble. So, all right, let me turn my volume down. This is Prepare for Battle. This is Introduction to High-Level Combat. The footage has been edited for brevity to avoid major spoilers. Weishaupt Fortress is under attack from Gillenon and her archdemon. That's probably a spoiler. From Gillenon and her archdemon. Rook at the Veilguard must stop her. Let's get your warrior ready for battle. All right, sweet. Let's take a look what we got. Okay, this menu looks nice though. It's definitely giving me heavy live service vibes. I heard that the game was intended initially to be a live service and then changed to single player. This menu still seems to have some of that DNA, but all right, abilities and runes, assign abilities and an ultimate attack before going into battle. So 3 abilities, it looks like, in an ultimate. 3 abilities in an ultimate looks like. Okay, I expressed in my most recent video that while I'm kind of on board with the Mass Effect style combat that this game seems to have, I was hoping for more than just 3 abilities. Technically, I got that. We got 3 abilities in the ultimate, but I was hoping for something that was more Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, the only good thing that game, or great thing that game really had going for it, was its combat, where yes, you had 3 abilities at a time, but you had several sets of abilities you could swap to on the fly. I was hoping they do that here. They didn't. It's 3 abilities in the ultimate. So it's going to be more like it may be a mix between Andromeda and then Mass Effect 2 and 3, what we got with those games. And I enjoyed Mass Effect 2 and 3 despite only having a few abilities. So let's give it its chance to show itself off. Let's see. Equip runes to enhance your power set and access unique abilities. Okay, so when you activate a rune, so there's active and passive benefits to each rune. Choose runes that boost a warrior's damage and help with crowd control. So, okay. So you can give yourself a flame buff on your weapon, and the passive is just you get increased fire damage. Okay, so that's something. It's giving me God of War vibes. Okay. The recent God of War vibes. Each combat class has an array of specializations to choose from. Your Rook has chosen the Champion branch, which favors strong defensive skills. Champion, Pinnacle of Grey Warden combat prowess. Okay, so they're making the tank kind of associated with the Grey Wardens. The Champion is a born leader who rallies their allies. And turns their fervor into flame and wields a deadly shield as a weapon. So this is your sword and board class. All right, sweet. Only one specialization can be active at a time, so you can put points into several specializations, but only one's active. Utilizing passives like heavy armor mastery will help boost your defense. Okay. So this is your tanky boy right here, or girl, whichever you prefer. All right, you're going to be battling Darkspawn, who are vulnerable to fire, so we're bringing back resistances and weaknesses. Fiery Resolve will grant us flaming weapons for a duration when we parry enemy attacks. So, okay, parry, you get flaming weapons. Sweet. All right, cool. Okay. They're going a little bit fast, which is why I have to pause so much. Some of this text only staying for a little while. We'll be doing a deep dive on our progression systems in the future. All right, I'm excited to see it. For this build, you'll want a full set of heavy armor to activate your heavy armor at mastery passive. That Makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot of the bonuses we're seeing. It's just the way that it's displayed. This menu is very live service-y, but I mean, the amount of stats we're seeing on weapons and stuff like that isn't anything crazy compared to other Dragon Age games. It's just similar amount of stats to each piece of equipment. So if you prefer a more aggressive style, play style, two-handed weapons do more damage. Okay. The Spellbound Longsword deals high stagger and can trigger powerful takedowns. We'll cover stagger in part 2. Okay, cool. So this is gonna be a weapon that can open up more opportunities for you in combat by a stagger. Rook has a fire-based Darkspawn killer build. This ring will grant a bonus to the max number of burning stacks. Okay, so this build in particular can keep that kind of flaming buff active on the weapon. So it seems like even though we only have 3 abilities, there's gonna be a lot of build expression, hopefully. So we'll see. I hope that ends up being the case. The runes add a little bit of, I guess, oomph to the lack of only having 3 abilities in ultimate. Those runes might kind of accentuate that, kind of help fill some of those gaps in. Selected companions can aid Rook by equipping complementary gear and passives. This is a Grey Warden mission, so you should bring Davrin. Okay, it says you should, but it literally says right there he's required for this mission. Okay. So it looks like that's how they're going to deal with the whole 2 at a time in the party thing. There's probably going to be certain missions where you have to bring certain companions. In the past Dragon Age games, there were missions where you had to bring people, or points in time where you had to bring people, but it was very few. So we'll see. So Davrin and Lucanus, I like it. So we got the basics of combat. Now that Rook, Davrin, and Lucanus have the right gear and skills, the team sets out to find their allies. Soon they are met with resistance by the dark. I'm telling you, they're going fast with this. Met with resistance by the Darkspawn, blighted creatures following Gillenon's orders. So the Darkspawn are directly following Gillenon's orders. Okay. This menu, by the way, looks sick. I'll say whoever's in charge of the UI over there at BioWare, rhymed, did a great job. This UI is looking sick. I'm very impressed. I like the tarot card still to it. Overall, the UI is looking sick. Despite the inventory screen having some live service element kind of style to it, in general, the UI is looking nice. I'm digging it. Okay. Oh, hello. Is that... No, that's the Archdemon. That's not Gillenon herself. Okay. First, learn the enemy types to strategically exploit their weaknesses. Darkspawn are vulnerable to fire. You will also see that they are resistant to necrosis. Okay. All this right here, Mass Effect. I'm loving it because I really enjoyed playing those games. Like, I was late to the series, but I enjoyed it a lot. We got combo opportunities available. We can pinpoint specific times to use enemy ally skills, which in my recent playthroughs of Origins through Inquisition, that was one of the few times I honestly switched to my allies, to my party members, was to use specific skills at a specific time because certain abilities didn't play nice with the tactics menu. So this is gonna still, in that way, feel similar to those Dragon Age games to me. Abilities which exploit weaknesses have a green outline. Okay, so you'll be able to see which of your abilities exploit weaknesses. Ghouls are joined by Herlock Spikers, ranged combatants who are also vulnerable to fire. And like it said, there's that green outline to let you know which abilities will exploit certain weaknesses. And we have a female Rook, it looks like, maybe? Time a shield block to parry an incoming attack, which provides an opportunity for high damage counterattack. And the reason I say this combat is kind of giving me Andromeda mixed with Mass Effect 2 and 3 vibes is the movement seems a bit more free and fast-paced like Andromeda was, but again, we still have only 3 abilities in an ultimate, equaling a similar amount of abilities to Mass Effect 2 and 3. Yo, did she just kick boy off the ledge? Bro! Okay. I like that we get to use our environment in combat. Yes, give you Baldur's Gate 3, give me... To an extent, there was a little bit of that in Origins, but yo, yes. I don't think there was any of that in Dragon Age 2. And if I'm recalling, I don't think there's any or very little of that in Inquisition. I don't actually think you could use your environment at all to fight in Inquisition. So, I'm loving that. Sorry, I'll stop pausing so much. Shield Throw is an effective range attack. You can destroy gaps and obstacles and stuff like that. Okay, so what if you don't bring it, though? Interesting. Health pots are available throughout the world. Grab them to prepare for what's ahead. Sweet. So you basically have a health pot, or basically Estus system, it looks like. Use the ability wheels to pause actions and give commands. Some tougher enemies have additional protection that needs to be removed. A yellow bar indicates a armor barrier. Do certain skills. Armor is resistant to most attacks. Heavy attacks are most effective against it. Overall, I'm liking the movement. I complained about this in my recent video about Origins. I'm loving the movement. A little too close to the mic. I'm loving the movement and weight to combat here. It has a very nice presentation to it. You can cast Spectral Bulwark, which damages enemies who land melee hits. Okay. Ooh, that ability looks sick. We got to see that again. The animation team was cooking. Animation team was absolutely. Look at that. The spin to the shields. I've never been tempted to play a warrior, like Arcane Warrior at best, but yo, the warrior's looking sick. Warrior, not finally, but warrior players are getting a lot of effects and flashiness that they didn't really have compared to mages in this game. They're getting it here. They have a lavender stagger bar that builds melee hits. When they're staggered, they take bonus damage, and you can deliver a powerful takedown. Oh, let me see the takedowns. I love it. That was dope. That was dope. We gotta see it again. I actually thought that was really dope. So far, like I said, the weight and like impact and visceralness, the combat, I'm digging a lot. And for the whole combat, you know, Dragon Age isn't dark thing. I want to see some more of it. The combat does have a lot of visceral. You see blood spatters, and it's just very. I don't have another word to describe it, I guess. Visceral and just kind of punchy to the combat. Look at that. Blood splatters everywhere. This nice weight to everything. So that is going to be an aspect of this game. It is dark, and just this Weishaupt Siege is very dark in color too. You've mastered core abilities. Now it's time to face down a variety of enemies all at once. Let's see. Let me put this mouse in the corner. Like the plunging attack, this Rook is a warrior specializing in the champion branch, which favors a defensive style of fighting. Okay, we got to get out of. Okay, so see if we don't dodge out of those impact zones, we're taking damage. Rook and their companions can also deploy different tools, such as area of effect attacks, to uniquely manage various enemies. Additionally, activate companion buffs and debuffs to apply status effects. Adrenaline rush. I want to see Lucanus come in. Davern has Heroic Strike, which applies the Overwhelm debuff. So in some of these earlier clips, it did feel like you were kind of fighting solo. So I want to see when you activate these abilities, you know, I want to see that feeling of like, oh, you're fighting alongside your allies here. That's what I want to see. There it is. Okay, okay. And does he stick around? Does he just kind of dip out? No, he's still around. Okay, okay. This build activates the shield volley passive, with which ricochets your shield 3 times if you hit a heavy attack. Okay. This person is not getting out of those AoEs in time. Whoever's playing is not doing a good job of dodging those AoEs. Rook is getting attacked on all sides, so you command Lucanus to use Abominate to knock enemies down. Abominate. Okay. Deals high barrier damage and applies knockdown to enemies in the area. I like that. Okay, Lucanus comes in with the wings and stuff. It's dope. Whenever I play a warrior type, typically like a Gish type character who is mix of magic and warrior in any of these RPGs, I typically go sword and board or just sword and empty hand. Sword and board looks so good in this game. So good. Okay, using your allies' ranged abilities like Death from Above. Oh, there's the Griffin! There's the baby Griffin! Fighting at a distance. Let's see. Or use your grappling spear to pull them close. Okay, we got to get over here. Yo, that was sick. Come on now. Come on now. The impact, the presence, the weight to it all. Okay, I will say that the pulling the enemy in does feel a bit too fast. And they could have, I would have, for this specific skill, would have liked a little bit more like heave to it, like a dramatic pull to the animation to have that particular skill. Like it has more weight, but it's still really cool to use. little bit more lean to it. You know what I'm saying? Overall, that's sick. That's sick though. Primers, detonators, ultimates. Those of us that have played Mass Effect, this ain't nothing new. But it'll be nice here to really lean into that Mass Effect combat. Rook can create incredibly damaging combos, detonations, and this is the same as or similar to combos in Dragon Age games too. Assess the situation to determine which primers work best. Command Davern to taunt enemies. Okay, he's taunting. And now I guess that blue, does that mean it's a detonator? Wonder what that blue in that situation meant. Activate crystallized rune to freeze the gathered group in place. Okay, so this is like I said, we have our abilities, only 3 abilities in ultimate, but that rune will those runes we get will kind of help us feel like we still have additional abilities. Lucanus can use Eviscerate to detonate this combo and explode the whole group. Bro, that was actually sick. That was actually sick. As the battle progresses, Rook can unleash a destructive ultimate. Okay, let's see the ultimate. Oh, the Horn of Valor. Yo! That was actually crazy. That was okay. Combat is not only flashy, but like I said, the speed, it looks fun. It does look really fun. Is it gonna scratch that itch if you're like one of those diehard, like, oh, I'm, you know, my origin style combat or bust? I don't know, but if you like Dragon Age, and I think as well if you like BioWare games and you've liked Mass Effect, I don't think there's not gonna be a whole lot here for you not to enjoy. I think there's gonna be a lot here for you to enjoy. This just seems like the best in terms of combat of both of these games mixed. Look at how sick this is, bro. And then I thought, okay, that's it. Nah, boom, yo, laying them out. I love that. That is honestly really cool. They're making Warrior look sick, which they've never looked appealing to me to play in these games outside of Arcane Warrior. Like, I've always needed spells and a mage to accentuate the Arcane Warrior style of play, like Knight Enchanter in Inquisition. There was some warrior aspects to it, but you still had the flashiness of spellcasting and the versatility of magic with that. So, okay, there we go. Let's dodge out of those AoEs, buddy. Using our runes again makes us feel like we have more than just the 3 abilities. I'm digging it. That skill is never not gonna get me, man. Oh, I love it. With those shields just kind of circling around, it looks so sick. And the flaming sword aspect of this build seems nice too. You always have these flaming weapons active, which is one of my favorite parts of playing the Gish style of a character, is having enchanted weapons with like glowing effects on them. I love that. Okay, I like that. Okay, I was about to say, dang, it feels like I'm kind of fighting alone here, but when they're off in the distance, you have little icons here that show you where your allies are. So that's cool. So even when you struggle to see them, you kind of always have this indicator. I want to really feel like I'm fighting alongside my companions. And yeah, there's certain enemies that they're just taking out by themselves. You see the health going down, they're just taking out full-on enemies by themselves, as it should be. You got combo opportunities as well. Death from above. Oh, using Eviscerate and Death from above. Oh, hell yeah. Look at that. That is absolutely sick with the shield throw. Warrior's looking nice, man. I can't even hold you. Warrior's looking absolutely sick. Darkspawn enemy designs, I'm feeling them as well. I'm digging the Darkspawn designs. I still wish we got to see... Okay, and that's another rune right there. I still wish we got to see Darkspawn, like, wearing armor to kind of... Or just wearing clothing, armor in general. Oh, we're dying. To really kind of bring home that whole... The Darkspawn are representative of other races. But that's it, man. Okay, that's the whole shebang. Boom. We got a lot of... I'm digging what I'm seeing here. This combat reveal has me way more excited for the game. Than that first 20 minutes we got. Because again, it was very low level. There wasn't a lot of 8-player agency. You were using basic attacks and one skill. This is nice. I'm digging this. And I hope this isn't too late into the game. I hope you get... I mean, you'll get your 3 abilities pretty quick, I gather. And then, you know, your runes. So The flashiness might not be there. I love the barrels. I love the use of really getting with your environment, getting involved with your environment in combat. I love things like using exploding barrels nearby, kicking enemies off ledges. I hope you can do things like use that spear and pull an enemy off of a elevated position to deal some fall damage to them. I hope there's stuff like that involved. Yeah, man, this is sick, dude. This is looking really damn good, man. I'm not even gonna hold you. That drop kick? Bro, what? Can I see that again? Did you just drop kick him? I love it. Oh, that's right. She did use that to knock boy off the ledge, but I don't know. It just had so much more oomph that time. Yo. So we're gonna keep this rolling while we talk. We're just gonna keep this rolling from the time that combat started to give some thoughts, okay? Here's some overall thoughts on what I've seen. Here's how I'm feeling about what I've seen from the combat. One, like I said, I went through all the Dragon Age games recently. I recently played through all of them again in preparation for Veilguard, right? One of my biggest complaints, Inquisition dealt with this a little bit. Like, Inquisition, it's not as bad. But in Dragon Age 2 and in Dragon Age Origins, combat for pretty much every class has no weight to it. There's no impact, there's no oomph, there's no those big meaty clashes. I'm not really feeling that. A bit in Inquisition, yes. But for majority of the series, it's not there. Here, it's here in spades. I'm feeling the impact and the tension behind every interaction, at least really well. Like with that rolling animation right there, that initial fall down, it's nice and has weight to it. Yes, the character did do a really quick roll animation wise. Yeah, that quick recover right there. But that initial fall, it's nice and slow and has like a good amount of weight to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this seems to have. Yes, there's quick moments, but there's just as many times where there's a lot of weight. That shield bash just now, just kind of tears into him with it. Like, I'm loving that. So as far as the visual, and not just the visual, game feel is very important for how fun these games are, and that the impact and feel part of things here, nailed it. From what I'm seeing so far with this, I have to wait to get it in my hands. But from what I can see, they nailed that, and it's going to feel incredible to play, at least in terms of this specific class and this specific build and what we're seeing, right? Now, let's talk tactical, right? Let's talk tactical. Okay, so it looks like, okay, sweet. Okay, so that's dope. So it's good that I got to see this. So as far as tactics, not only abilities, you can also designate targets for your allies to focus on. That's dope. That's really dope that you can do that. You can say, hey, as a warrior, you can say, yo, there's a really annoying archer in the distance or mage in the distance. I don't want to deal with that. I like to fight up close and personal. So y'all deal with that. I'm going to go see what scraps I can find. And this allows you to do that. So there's some semblance of tactics there, especially if you got mages in your group that have long range capabilities. You can say, hey, deal with that, right? You do feel like, based on what I'm seeing here and all this, you do have that feel of, hey, my party's fighting alongside me. Because from what I've seen in this, you see them pretty often. I will say the screen's very busy. The enemy designs have a lot to them. So the screens do look very busy. So I imagine as someone either watching this or as you just start your play session, the screen's going to feel very busy. Like there's a lot, maybe too much going on. But I imagine as you go throughout your play session and you dial in, you'll get adjusted to it. Is what I'm imagining. But as far as the tactical stuff is going on, we got primers, detonators, buffs, debuffs, or crowd control. So there is a lot to combat, a lot of which that was either in previous Dragon Age games already, or was in a Mass Effect game and has now made its way here, right? To an extent, I'm gonna say that what the devs said in interviews about, oh, this being the first Dragon Age game that is, I mean, they said like fun throughout the entire thing. Yeah, there's some weight to that because this combat, after playing, I'll tell y'all honestly, man, after playing Andromeda, not Andromeda, after playing Dragon Age Origins 2 and Inquisition recently, leading up to this game, while the games are great, I love those games, they're phenomenal, and I enjoyed all of them. I can confidently say I enjoyed all of them. The combat in none of them isn't what got me excited. Building my character to be able to do specific things in combat, that got me excited. And there were times where I was genuinely enjoying the combat a lot, but never throughout like an entire game. Like I did with like God of War, or again, Mass Effect Andromeda, was I enjoying combat throughout the entire game. I'm not gonna say the game is gonna be good because we don't have it yet, but looking at this, man, the combat looks like there's a solid chance that this will be the first Dragon Age game in the series to beat that challenge for me. Like, no, the combat is fun throughout the entire game. Or maybe, let's say, because again, I said in my previous video, I said none of the Dragon Age games, their combat didn't hit that amazing level. I consider them great, good, words like that, but I wouldn't use amazing or just outright spectacular to describe the combat in Dragon Age games. This might be it. This might do it for me. Now, I understand it's an action RPG combat system. I get that, right? And I get that that's a detractor for some people. But from what I'm seeing, the UI is a little busy. I will say that. The UI is a little bit busy. But I mean, that's typical of a game like this. If you have an action combat system where you try to fit RPG elements, that's just a symptom of it, right? So I digress. But from what I'm seeing with the taunts, combo opportunities, primers, detonators, crowd control, I am getting a still very tactical and strategic feel to this combat. I gotta get my hands on it. I gotta play it. But from what I've seen, being able to slow down the battlefield, you have your 3 abilities, you have your ultimate, and you have your runes that do help you feel like you have a few more than just 3 abilities. Oh, it looks sick. It looks really tactical, strategic. It looks like you can really express and control the battlefield how you want to. Or even 2 people with identical builds and identical parties, because of the difference of tactics you can use, they will get through encounters differently. And it seems like there's that here. So in terms of tactics and strategic combat systems, if I can say all that about it, then it's gonna have succeeded, right? If you can have those 2 people with the same builds and they have the same party makeup, but they get through these encounters differently in spite of that because of all the tools that are at your disposal. Look at this, right? All the tools at your disposal, then yeah, it accomplishes that, I feel like. This is something I would consider beyond your straight up action game. This isn't like, this doesn't feel like or look like, I haven't played it, but this doesn't appear to me to be something like, oh, just straight up action. This is just God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, right? It's just action combat with slight RPG elements. No, this feels like a fully fledged action combat system. Said feels again. Looks like a fully fledged action combat system. It seems like the evolution of everything they were trying to do with Inquisition and trying to accomplish with Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda. This, to me, looks like a BioWare that's learned from their lessons. And I truly hope so, because I've said it before, I do think this is their last chance. I do. Now, it's not all perfect. I have complaints. It's not all perfect. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just, glazing this game, right? Like, I have complaints. One, while there are things that have been done to make it, you can keep track of your allies in combat, like you have those little icons. Oh, my allies are over there. It's nice to have that. I hope that this game feels like you're fighting back to back with your allies. I hope it presents that feel, because while it's nice to be able to acknowledge that I'm on the same battlefield as my allies, it's nice to be able to see that, right? I want to feel as if I'm right there shoulder to shoulder with them. So I hope that this isn't something I have to rely on too often to be like that. However, maybe that's just because this person used the tactics wheel to just have the allies target them. Maybe if you want to be back to back with your allies more often, either don't have them target specific enemies and they do something like that on their own, or you can just have them do this and have them target enemies you're fighting directly, and then you'll always feel like that, right? But as far as critiques, I really hope the game does well with having it stand out that your allies are there with you in the thick of it, because that was one of the benefits to Origins to an Inquisition. You were always relatively close to your allies for the most part, unless you did specific things to position them otherwise. You were kind of always in the thick of it with your party for the most part. Y'all were never too far apart, and like I said, unless you made actual choices to make that happen. So that's one complaint. Like I said, another complaint is that I said it gets very busy. There's a lot of gray going on with this specific map, a lot of gray, dark, brownish colors. So I feel like some things might get lost, but that could just be this mission specifically. you know. And hey, if I'm saying that about this, I can't complain about Origins, because Origins was very much a similar shade often many times, right? There's a lot of colors melding together kind of, right, in a gloop. So I would be complaining about both of those games. But no, you have your abilities that have a lot of vibrantness and a lot of varied colors to them, right? So that is going to be where the color comes from, at least for this specific mission in that. And the canvas is purple, that yellow right there, that gold, looks sick. All in all, man, looks to me like they did the damn thing with this combat. I'm not gonna lie to you. After playing after playing the Dragon Age trilogy recently, beating all the games again recently on their hardest difficulties again, bro, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I look at this combat and it gets me excited because I'm like, okay, I'm so over what those previous Dragon Age games have done. They are good. I had a lot of fun playing with them, specifically Inquisition. I enjoy playing Inquisition, but there's times, like I said, where I'm just like over combat. Issues I didn't have with games like Andromeda. I never was over the combat in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Never. Whenever I was putting the game down for after a play session, I was never like, oh man, I'm sick of fighting. Never in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Never in Andromeda. Never in games like God of War. And outside of God of War, those Mass Effect games, I can still have action and RPG too. I can have tactics, strategy in those games. I have my cake and eat it too while playing those games, essentially. But I understand if you've never played something like Hogwarts Legacy, God of War 2018 or Ragnarok, the Mass Effect series, if you stick hard to just isometric CRPGs, this isn't going to appeal to you. And I'm sorry if that's the case, but overall, I'm really impressed with what BioWare have done with this. Stories remaining to be seen, right? Companions are remaining to be seen as far as how believable they are and everything. Interacting with them, there's a lot of stuff you haven't seen, like your downtime when you're in your central hub area, right? There's a lot of stuff that has yet to be seen, but with this specific reveal, they have quelled, let's go back. Well, they've quelled more than a few of my worries. I would say it's good. It's ups and downs, right, with the whole abilities thing. I was bummed. I was like, dang, I really hope we have more than 3 abilities. Hope that we have sets of abilities we can, or spells, whatever you want to call them, that you can swap between, so you don't have only 3 at a time. We only have 3 abilities and an ultimate, but there's a lot of ways to alter what those abilities do, it seems. There's a lot of environmental interactivity, just like you saw with kicking people off of stuff with those abilities. And we have runes that technically feel like they're an extra ability, right? Like we have 3 runes, and those runes do things like freeze and AoE and stuff like that. Again, giving me God of War 2018 and Ragnarok feels. I forgot what those were. Trinkets or whatever those were, but yeah, they were like little items that gave you skills essentially to use. But those runes do help you feel like you have more than just those 3 abilities. So like I said, up and down. Yes, we're stuck with only 3 and an ultimate, so that's like a downer. I wanted more than 3, but those runes and the adjustments that you can make to your abilities kind of help balance things out. So it's a plus and minus. Other things that they've addressed, I didn't get the sense of weight and impact much from the 20-minute gameplay we got before, and that problem has been solved. They've made everyone flashy, it looks like, man. That was one of my biggest complaints with Dragon Age Origins and 2. It was like, yeah, mages felt flashy, but I was never attracted to playing a warrior or a rogue because they didn't really have a lot of presence to them, I could say. Just for me personally. But it looks like everyone's getting a lot, and everyone is getting a nice amount of particle effects and flash to what they do in this game, which is nice. I love that they showed everyone some love in that regard. But overall, this is just, when I saw the first trailer, the first companion trailer, my hype was eh. When I saw the 20-minute gameplay trailer, my hype was like, oh, it's like at a good level. I was like, oh, I'm a little excited, but you know, I'm optimistic, or like cautiously optimistic. I'm a little excited, I guess. And then I read more about the game, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of good stuff they're talking about in some of these interviews and what the devs have been putting in articles and stuff like that. Game Informer's like, this is nice. Okay, I'm liking what I'm reading, right? I got more hype. And then that reveal date trailer came. Hype kind of got more increased. And then this is just making me even more hype. I want to fight in this Dragon Age game. And while I could say that about Origins and 2, I knew that feeling wouldn't last forever throughout the playthrough, right? That feeling of, oh man, I want to fight. It would fade because I would get fed up with multiple combats back to back. This looks promising. Overall, with the combat, great job, BioWare. I can't wait to get my hands on it and feel it and play it for myself, though. But from looks alone, for the warrior combat at this stage in the game, good job, BioWare. Here's hoping this level of fun, flash, flare, and like having all these tools at your disposal, it doesn't take too long to get to this point, right? Hopefully you're not stuck with one ability for too long, right? Like we saw in that 20-minute gameplay review. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, y'all. I feel like I've had a nice little yap session, right? But I'm liking what I saw. This was really good. Honestly, I feel like they should have showed this a little bit earlier just to kind of quell some people's worries, but I really like what we got to see here, man. Yeah, Dragon Age, the Veilguard comes out at the end of October. I can't wait to see more. I know we got a companion week coming up. We get to look more about the companions. They're going to show off some of the progression stuff as well. The live service-iness of this menu, I'm not a huge fan of, but I guess you could say it also kind of looks like Hogwarts Legacy as well, and that's a single player game, so maybe it's just my own PTSD from live service games. But in general, I like what we've seen. It looks solid. It looks like there's going to be a lot of skill expression, a lot of build expression. Again, two people with the same build and parties still might even be able to go about combat a different way based on all your options at your disposal. I don't have a whole lot negative to say about this other than those few little nitpicks I had earlier. Overall, I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. And I'll repeat again, that's going to do it for this video. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching. Let me know down below what you thought about everything we saw. If there's something you think I missed that you would have liked to see me comment on, I'll make a comment in the comment section on it. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. As always, thank y'all for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Y'all be easy.